Howdy, welcome back to another episode of Allen Classic Cars. I'm back with the 76 J20. I went ahead and just pulled her into the garage. She got a little smoky on me because she got some oil on the exhaust manifolds, of course. I tried recording it, but GoPro said my SD card didn't work, and then it does work now. I don't know what's going on. GoPro's weird, man. I'm new to all this, so don't hate me for it. I did get a haircut though, like I said, I needed one. But yeah, we're gonna dive into this thing. We're gonna get an oil change done. We're gonna get the transmission fluid changed, and then some coolant stuff, coolant related stuff, some cooling system stuff. Basically, heater core's gotta be swapped because that one leaks like a stuck pig. This heater hose that goes to the coolant heater thing, all the hoses for that's going to get replaced. There's some vacuum hoses back there that I gotta fix, or replace rather, because those two little prongs right there is part of the four-wheel drive system, and as you can see there's no vacuum hoses attached to it, so I got to get some of those. Other than that, radiator hoses, we're going to do the thermostat, replace this hose just to be on the safe side as well, and let's see what else we got over here on our shelf of goodies. Oh, let's do the master cylinder, because I kind of want brakes. You know, getting it in here wasn't terrible because it's not fast. It doesn't have a lot of transmission fluid in it, so it only stays in first gear, so it doesn't go very quick. But still, putting your foot to the floor to stop it with the rear drums only, not something that happens quickly. So definitely going to do that in this video, as well as put the new mirrors on. That was the other thing. So I've got the new mirrors right here. These are not like the originals because they're plastic, and we're gonna get those mounted up real quick. Super easy to do. Other than that, I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and drain the oil real quick. 3/4 inch socket pops it right off. Let's see. See if this stuff looks watery or not. I'm hoping it doesn't. Oh, that came off rather easy though. Who's betting water? I'm betting it's going to be real dark, but I don't think there's any water in it. Oh, it's full. Well, you know, about as full as an old engine can be. It wasn't like super low. It wasn't even at half quart, I don't think. It had a good chunk of oil in it. So, even though the entire engine and transmission and everything is completely covered in grease, grime, and oil, it actually had a good amount in there. And this is after I pressure washed it too. It was not this clean before. That's actually pretty clean. I don't see any weird chunks yet. It's thick. Just got oil all over my hand. Perfect. Great. Pretty thick stuff, but not too bad overall. All right, we're gonna go ahead and let that drain for a little bit before we go ahead and pop the filter off. And let's go ahead and get this master cylinder swapped out so I can actually have brakes in this thing. Takes a 1/2 inch and 9/16 wrench for the lines, and I believe these nuts over here at 9/16 too. So 2 nuts, 2 lines, and it comes right out. And some people like to do a bench bleed. I like to use this little kit because it makes it easier on me being solo. and it works just fine. We'll go ahead and prime it after we get it put in. Prime it, bleed it, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. It gets fluid pumping through. So yeah, let's go ahead and swap that out real quick. All right, let's get these nuts loose real quick. I can't see nothing over here. There we go. Ah, nice and loose. Let's go ahead and get these lines out of the way. I know what you're thinking. Why are you using a box end wrench on a brake line? Why aren't you using a line wrench? Two answers. One, my line wrench is back in a different state where the Impala is. Two, they're already loose. So there's nothing to strip. They're already pre-loosened. So PB Blaster is a hell of a thing. Gnats everywhere. So I don't have to worry about stripping it. It's magical. I've never had a brake line come off that easy, let alone two in a row. So for everyone panicking out there because I'm not using a line wrench, it's okay. Everything will be fine. Get the rag. AKA old t-shirt. Get brake fluid all over your hand, not brake fluid, that's something different. Bam, that one's good. It's another thing I like about old vehicles, especially old trucks from about 1979 and back, 1980, 1979 and back. You have so much room to put all your tools. It's so helpful. Whereas on these new age vehicles, there's 38 miles of electronic wire, 78 million different sensors, no room to work on anything. Can't even tell what the problem is without hooking it up to a computer half the time, and even then it's not guaranteed. That one didn't even leak because it's completely bone dry up front, which is my disc brakes. Because, you know, 76, this one's front disc, rear drum, blah, blah, blah. Power brakes is nice though. Alright, find that. Be stubborn. Can't wait to see if this cruise control actually works. There we go. One nut. Now, hopefully, after I get this thing going a little bit better down the road, which should be right after this, really, after I get brakes and fresh transmission pan gasket and transmission fluid in there, I'll actually be able to do a will it run for you guys. I got some vehicles that I'm sourcing right now that will be perfect. So yeah, I'm sourcing a few different vehicles out right now. Hopefully I can get at least one of them soon because it's still available. And that'll be a real treat. It's something I've never worked on before and honestly don't even remember seeing unless maybe when I was younger. So that'll be a good one, an interesting one. So that one's going to be an actual will it run. Hopefully I can do it where it's sitting right now, which would be really nice. If not, then it'll be right here in the garage because that's all I got. comes back out. Stop going back in there. I don't know what this string was really for. I guess that was to try and seal it more. I don't know. Ooh, that's got a bunch of grime in there. All right, let's get this over to the bench real quick and we'll take a look at it. All right, so some people are probably gonna be wondering why I didn't just redo the seal or whatever, and that's because of a couple things. One, this bar is completely bent. It barely is holding down this cap at all. It's actually not even creating a seal because it's so loose. Like it wiggles and is not holding down the backside. So this has actually got a gap. And two, it's so cheap just to buy a new one that it's not really worth trying to repair this one for any reason. But there is a whole bunch of gunk in there too. So I don't know how bad the damage is inside, because there is a little bit of surface rust around. So these are so cheap, it's better safe than sorry. Just buy a new one, send the core back, call it a day. And this thing's leaking so much brake fluid, it's not even funny. Stay. All right, let's get the new one in. All right, go ahead and clean up all this junk that's in here. That way we actually have a decent seal. That's pretty grody. All that gunk that was on the master cylinder is also right here on the booster. I also just realized, I was wondering, because I've got the speedo cable I got to replace because the needle does this when you start going down the road. I forgot that this has a cruise control system to it, and the cable's right here on top, so it's super easy and makes me very happy. Also hoping that's the only thing I have to replace. If I have to replace the other one, that's going to be a pain in the butt. But we'll figure that out later. I'm not worried about that right now. Anyway, let's get back to my master cylinder. So I know in the first video I said I was going to put this one in on there, but I didn't get around to having the time for it. I did mention that I clear coated it. Some people paint them, some people just install it and say whatever. I like to clear coat them so it shows the originality of the metal, or just the bare metal. Originality, I don't even think it's a word. Anyway, I just like the way that the bare metal looks, and with the clear coat it helps to reduce the amount of rust that you get over time in the future and such. So go ahead and get this off the piston. Bam. There we go. Let's get her in there. Ooh, this might be a little tricky. Let me get this rag out of here. And nothing's leaking now. There we go. All right. Put these nuts on. Put fresh brake fluid in there. And then just pump the brakes for a little while until all the air bubbles go away. Easy as pie. I could go for some pie. I haven't had the pie in a while. A click. Much better. Much quicker, much better. Much happier. Okay, click. Bam. All right, let's get some brake fluid in there. Hope I have enough. Just barely enough. Dadgum. All right, I'm gonna pump them. You guys let me know when the bubbles disappear. Still got a few little air bubbles trickling around. So the reason you want to get rid of the air bubbles here is because whenever you're actually using your brakes when you're driving down the road, if one of those air bubbles gets caught in between the master cylinder and the piston of the caliper, you can lose your brake all of a sudden, just go to the floor because of that air bubble, and because you have no brakes. And having no brakes is not fun. Trust me, been there, done that too many times. So make sure you actually bleed your brakes every time you change something that deals with the fluid. I'm not going to drain them down to the caliper yet because I'm actually going to do a brake job all on this thing. So I'm not worried about bleeding it now. I'm just worried about getting this bled plugged up and then bleed again, because I'm replacing all the rubber lines because they're all shot took. So let me get that last little air bit out, and then we should be good to go. Ow. Hit my knee on the door jam. That should be good enough for now. Like I said, I'm going to bleed the actual calipers later, so I'll worry about having pressure down there at that time. So go ahead and just let these drain out real quick. I'm going to put this back under there again because I know these are going to leak a little bit, as expected. Now these are plastic, so you don't need to over tighten these at all. You don't need to really tighten them, but hand tight, and then maybe drop a wrench on it. And by drop a wrench, I mean after you get it hand tight. Like, so right there would be hand tight, drop a wrench on it, which is just wrench, and then boom. That eighth turn, that's all you need. That's plastic, it seals itself real easy. So you don't need to over tighten these. Same thing with the brake lines themselves. You don't need to over tighten them. They're knurled out and they're designed to fit only one way, so you don't need to go insane with tightening the lines. You want them tight, nice and snug, but you don't need to torque the crap out of them. I've seen some people over tighten so many different brake components and spark plugs and everything you can think of, and it's just, there's no reason for it. I think of one particular buddy of mine who just likes to send it on everything. But that's because he's a goof. Good call by putting that rag back. Line in first, then your fitting. Don't try and get your fitting screwed on until your line's seated in there. because that can cause binding, improper sealing, so on and so forth. Okay, this filter is covered in dirt, grease, grime, and oil and such, so I'm just going to make it easy on myself and use the oil filter wrench. If I can find a good way to grab it. Jeez. Oh. It's one of those where it's easy to grab from the top. Probably. Oh, jeez. She is snug in there. Holy moly. And there is not a lot of room here. I don't know why they designed it to go right over top the differential like that. Come on. Damn. Oh, one sec. Try from up top. Got wires, hoses, and all sorts of other goodies in my way up here. No grippage. Oh my goodness. Oh, got some turning. There we go. Whew. Man, that was tight. Man, that cool breeze feels really good right now. It's been pretty warm up here the past few days. It's been in the low 80s. More oil on the hand. All right. Same color, texture, consistency, viscosity as the other stuff, so let me wipe this off my hand and I'll pour it out for you guys and let y'all see. So it is full, which is great because it means that this thing has really good oil pressure. And it is, just like before, thick, rich, and pitch black, ready for a change. I have no idea what brand of filter this is. I'm afraid if oh, it's Motorcraft. You can kind of see it right there. Son of a gun. Probably an FL1A or A1. Huh. So they used a Motorcraft filter on an AMC engine that has Ford, Chevrolet, and Dodge parts. Sounds about right. All right, let's go ahead and prime up this new filter. So that way whenever we first start the engine, it actually has some oil pressure in it. You don't have to do this with every car necessarily, but on older vehicles and especially on the bigger filters, it helps. All you do, pour a little bit of oil in, get some of that fresh oil on the seal, that way it doesn't stick, kind of like the old one did. And like I said, that way it actually has a little bit of oil whenever it starts to build pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and y'all see me putting it back on the engine. Alright, got the surface cleaned up. Surface where the seal sits on the adapter. So let's go ahead and try and get this bad boy in there. Try not to get the seal dirty when you put it in. And bam, super duper easy pleasy. Of course, I know you already know how to do that. Hand tight. All you experts out there that like to use the filter wrench to snug them down, don't do that. Hand tight. That's all you gotta do. Bam. Hand tight. And it seals itself. That's all you gotta do. You don't have to use any filter wrench to tighten it down snug or quarter turn or anything like that. Hand tight. That's it. That's it. So I gotta throw drain plug back in, then we can put the oil in real quick. And then I'll show you which oil we're using today. Alright. Today And next time, and if I can, hopefully every time, I'm using Castrol Magnatech. This stuff is supposed to have intelligent molecules to cling to protect. Right, anyway, it's supposed to be really good for high mileage engines or older engines, worn out engines and such. And I like using Castrol in general. I use Castrol Edge on the newer vehicles, the wife's Jeep and my Jeep. So I like using the Magnatech on the older stuff because it's supposed to be good for it. I haven't had an issue out of it yet. And then we're gonna throw in some engine restore because this stuff's supposed to help with compression, horsepower, restore engine life, and reduce the oil consumption. Same thing, I haven't had an issue out of this stuff either. The other thing I like to use on the newer stuff and stuff that's, you know, not been left in a field, so it's more reliable and daily driven, it's Hyperlube. That stuff works really, really, really well on the older engines to help keep them fully lubricated, in my opinion. Now, I don't know where the heck my funnel is, because if you don't look at your funnel 24/7, it will leave you. So I don't know where it went, but luckily, one thing I like, these 401s have this tall, my brain failed. It's tall where the oil cap goes. Tall cylinder. My brain just stopped working for some reason on what the proper name for this is. I know a lot of newer vehicles have this, which is also useful. However, an older engine having this is extremely useful. So, dump about half of this in, then throw in the restore into the jug. I'm gonna spill this. Mix it up. Spilling. Spilling. There we go. So what I can do now, I do this with the Hyperlube too, at least try to. Pop open your bottle and throw it into the 5-quart jug, mix it up that way. You don't have to do it like that. It works just the same if you just pour this straight in there. I just like doing it like that because it mixes it up quicker before it goes in the engine. That way when you start it up, it's mostly pre-mixed. All right, that's dumped in there. Put the cap back on. Give it good. Shaky do. And then just dump her in like you would. Easy as that. Now I would do that speedo cable today, but that requires me taking out the instrument cluster, and that's going to be in a separate video. The next video, in fact, where I'm also going to do the cooling system stuff. Heater core, hoses, thermostat. Today is just oil and master cylinder, because that's all I have time for. And this engine, according to the technical service manual that I have upstairs, says it takes 5 quarts. So this one jug should be just fine. So I'm not going to stress worrying about, oh, does it leak 6? You know, what this up, blah, blah, blah. It does leak. Of course, it's an old engine. Of course it leaks. So I'm not too stressed about that. As far as quantity goes, a little bit more will be fine. To 1, go into the filter, 2, help with prime the lifters and clean the lifters out. And yeah, we'll be good to go. Filter's on, oil's in, master cylinder's on, bled, best I can for now. So everything I wanted to do under the hood today has been done. I still got the cooling system to do, which will be the next video. A few vacuum lines, next video. I'll probably try and put that speedo cable in there. And then transmission pan gasket. That's definitely going to be the next thing because it leaks. I'm only doing the gasket, not the filter, because there's no issues with it. I've talked to several different transmission men, actual professional transmission men, about those Turbo 400s. They say If it works, leave it alone. It works. So I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm just replacing that gasket. That's it. But there's one more thing we can do today, and that's put on these side mirrors. That way I can see when I back this thing out of here later. So let's go ahead and get those on real quick. And I'm gonna show y'all something pretty neat that I noticed. Because like I've said numerous times, these old Jeeps were assembled by a Kaiser Jeep AMC. The engines were from AMC, but almost all the accessories were from the big three. You know, Mopar, Ford, and Chevrolet or GM. And proof of that is right there on the mirror. I don't know how well I can see right there. It says Ford. And that carburetor, Tomco Ford, that power steering pump, GM power steering pump. I mean, you can't look at that and tell me otherwise. So this thing just slapped together, and that's one of the reasons why I love it, besides just the overall aesthetic of this beautiful truck. So let's get the new ones of these on, because this is just a dish now. And then we'll wrap it up. Alright, so these are the original brackets. I just went ahead and got some new mirrors, same size as the old ones. And only thing I don't like about these is they're plastic. Granted, they won't rot out, but still they're not the same as metal. So let's go ahead and get these put on real quick. Should be pretty easy. This is the same original clamp too. Dang, clamp I don't want to open today. There we go. It's hard to do it with this rubber that's also got to go in here in order to keep it in place. So if you don't have the rubber, then it's just going to slide around. Oh, got it. Boom. And the mirror, just like the old ones, goes actually on the outside, not in between. So get washer, mirror, should grab pliers. Yep. Need pliers. Please hold. Alright, pliers. Channel locks. Whoa! Get back here, you. There we go. Trying to think of a way to do this because there's no room. Let me get my baby vice grips. All right, let's try and get these to hold on down here for me to get this nut started. Oh, it would help if the whole line was better. That should be able to work. Come on now. are just going together. Aha. Got it. Almost. Yeah, that was too true. Okay, this washer is not going to fit for some reason. So I'm going to have to put that washer in later. I'm just going to get this mounted up here and in for now. Let's see, up on it. That'll work. Cool, that'll work. Don't want to over tighten it because it's plastic and it'll break. Don't want that. Spend way too much money on these cheap things. So the reason I gotta put those in later is I can't get them on right now because this clamp is too far open. So what I'm gonna do is keep it pinched together with just the nut, and later on, after like a week, once it starts to actually settle back together, I'm gonna get that washer to try and fit on there. So let me double check. That's pretty good. Gotta go out a bit more. That'll be fine for now. I gotta readjust it all later. Let's try and do the other one real quick, shall we? Alright, let's do it all over again. I forgot the dang vice grips already. Son of a... These holes don't line up at all when I use the vice grip. But I may have it cramped down enough. Oh, hey. Well, why don't you line up? There we go. Got it. When you don't have a hammer, you make one out of everything. I wonder if this is going to work. Yep. Just thread it in there. That's easier. just enough to get the thread started on this bad boy. And just like that, easy pleasy. Now to know, this is my first time ever doing these types of mirrors, so that's why I'm struggling so much. So everyone making fun of me, I'm making fun of me too. Okay. Before I tighten her down all the way. Same thing, gotta get it where I can see from setting position. Oh, that's gotta come way in. A little bit. Oh. That's not even remotely close. Let's see if there's good. A little bit more. Right there should be good. That'll be good. I'll probably have to adjust it later, but that's good enough for now. Cool. So that's going to do it for this episode of Allen Classic Cars. We got the master cylinder in, got the oil change, got the mirrors on. Next time we'll do that little bit of cooling system stuff. And transmission pan gasket. So I can see if she has all 3 gears or not. I think it's only 3. Turbo 400 has 3 without overdrive? I don't remember. I have to look again. Anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you guys very much. If you enjoyed this at all for whatever reason, thank you, and please subscribe. I know it's atypical YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, and all that, but seriously, I need to get my foot in the door on this stuff in order to get you guys some more content and more videos. Trust me, y'all are gonna like the Impala, and if I get one of these next projects I'm looking at, y'all are really gonna like those too. Now, I know y'all wanna hear this thing run. Y'all don't wanna hear me jabber anymore. So let's see what a 401 straight pipe sounds like real quick. I do have a muffler. It'll go on there in the future. But right now it's just straight pipe. There she is. We'll see you next time.